Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Prime Talk. My name is Lisa Kinsky. I'm joined by my co-host, Yoni Mazur, and today we have on with us Ashlin Hadden. She is the owner of Ashlin Hadden Insurance Agency, which is a leading e-commerce insurance services agency, and we'll get into that, what it means later on in the episode. So Ashlin, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. It's a dreary day in Indiana, but it's Friday. It's great.
It's Friday. Absolutely. We're so excited to have you on. So this is going to be the Ashlin Hadden Hour. So we want to hear all about your story of where you're from, your experiences growing up, if you had any entrepreneurial ventures, what you went to school for, and we're going to walk through your professional stations of life until where you are today. So let's jump straight into it. Where are you from originally?
So I was born and raised in Kokomo, Indiana, and it sounds fancy, but it's not like the Kokomo from the song. It's this little rural town in the Midwest of Indiana. We are surrounded by cornfields and soybeans. So I went to this little school out in the middle of the cornfield. Literally, there was cornfields all around us. But it was a nice, quiet little town. I was definitely raised under a rock, not these big city type of growing up. So it was definitely, we had a day where you could like drive your tractor to school. That's how rural my school was. So yeah.
But hold on, let me, your parents, what kind of industries were they involved with? Were they also in farming or doing other things?
So we weren't farmers. My dad was a supervisor at GM, General Motors. So he was always in the supervisory role. That's kind of where my management heart came from. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until we were in school. And then she kind of became like a serial student. She loves education, and she got a couple of associate's degrees, a couple of bachelor's degrees, and a master's degree that she doesn't really use. She kind of went to school a bunch, and then she did a little bit of adjunct professor type of stuff, but that's about it. She's my heart comes from my mother. She was very involved in the community and the school and with us and growing that kind of stuff. So I got my business side from my dad and my heart from my mom.
Got it. And you had any siblings around or no?
I have two older brothers. One actually is my HR director. He works for a nonprofit organization in the HR department and is starting his own HR consulting company. And my other brother is in management of restaurants.
Nice.
And I have tons of nieces and nephews. I'm the cool aunt, always been the cool aunt. So tons of everybody is around. We all meet in Kokomo on Sundays for family dinners as much as possible.
Still do?
Still do to this day. So as long as I'm in town, we're in Kokomo for Sunday dinner at my parents'.
Very, very cool. Now, when you're growing up, your focus was more into, I don't know, sports, school, music, making money. What was your head into in your formative years?
A little bit of everything. I was a band nerd through middle school, and then the kids kind of got to you and calling names and things like that. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that anymore, and got out of that. But I was definitely very business minded from the beginning. There was a little fruit stand right outside of my neighborhood, and I wanted a job. And I went up to the fruit stand, and my dad was like, here's what you do. Here's what you say. I was 14, and I was running this little fruit stand outside of my neighborhood at like 14 years old. So I was always like kind of business minded.
What's your favorite fruit? Two questions. What's your favorite fruit to eat? But what was the best selling fruit there on the stand?
Strawberries were my favorite.
Nice.
And strawberries were for sure the best-selling fruit because they made.
Don't tell me it was the only thing you sold, the strawberries. That would be like.
No, they did a lot of vegetables too. I wasn't a huge vegetable fan then, but strawberries because they were like warm in the sun and just eat them right off the stem. Oh, my favorite.
Very good.
And the little cherry tomatoes. I liked those because you can just put those in your mouth.
Love cherry tomatoes.
Good questions. Where were the cherry tomatoes invented? Do you know?
I don't.
Invented? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're a little GMO vegetable for sure, but no.
They're genetically invented, yeah. In Israel, yeah. Israel is.
Really?
Shout out to the home country, yeah. A little bit of that. Even though I prefer the regular tomatoes. We're a small country. We have small space. We can't fit all the tomatoes in the regular size. So you gotta, make them cherry size to.
Baby
Interesting.
tomatoes. That is
Makes
so
sense.
interesting.
Yeah.
So the first job was the fruit stand. You're running it.
Yes.
How long did you do that for? And was that just like that was just during summer, I would
Just
assume?
during the summer. Yeah.
Okay.
I think my first official like on the books job was McDonald's because they were the only one that would hire you at like 15 and a half or
Me
whatever it was.
too.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. I mean, you went home smelling like French fries every day, but
It was awful. I ruined my truck had plastic floor liners in it, and I had to get some repair done on my truck. And so I was borrowing our spare car, which had cloth liners, and I destroyed the liners in that car because of all the grease on my shoes. You couldn't get it out of it. I totally wrecked that car, and I didn't even mean to. It was just
nasty.
you're just covered in it. It was awful.
So if you're working for McDonald's, the recommendation is just have shoes to replace. Just replace your shoe before you go into the car.
Yes.
That's why you're gonna avoid wrecking your car. So
any
one word of wisdom from this episode is when you work for McDonald's, make sure you have extra sneakers. That's all.
And like back in the day, the spray for your hair, the like dry shampoo. I wish I would have had that kind of stuff. So at least your hair didn't stink. But I remember coming home and like you just tear everything off in the mud room before you even get in the house. Just it was gross.
Nice. Okay, so let's go into graduating from high school and your next station.
So I kind of obviously got out of the food industry as soon as I could, and I started my first real career in banking. I was going to school. I thought I wanted to work in financial crimes, so I was getting my degree in criminal justice, and I was working at the bank, thinking that I wanted to be in the FBI and work on like financial crimes and find all these like people who were screwing over the government. And it was a couple of years into my degree, and I realized that computers don't talk back. And it was
hold on. This is what your university, right? Which university is that?
I went to Indiana University, and so I was in banking. I started as a teller and was working my way up as I went through school. I hated the computer classes because I'm such a social person, and the computers were just it was neat, but it wasn't me.
It wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to switch. I'm already in banking. I've already gotten like an assistant manager position. I was working my way up through the banking industry, and I was like, maybe I'll just go into management. So I got my first job as a branch manager in the bank.
Finished my I don't know why, degree. But it suits you, right, Lisa? She looks like a bank manager.
Well, it's funny because she said she was pursuing a degree in criminal justice, and I thought that really matched. That feels right for you for some reason.
I wanted to be like the hot FBI agent with a gun on my hip, like walking around in the suit. Like that just felt like me. But
yeah. Too much computer involved. Less gunning. Too much computer.
So boring. Now, some of my classes that I did take, like on the criminal justice side, we got to go to the morgue and kind of like go through like, hey, here's the crime scene. What do you think happened?
Oh man,
that was really cool. But I knew that if I didn't have all of like the math degrees and all of that kind of stuff, that the FBI wouldn't take me anyways. And I'm just not a math person.
Okay, so you're a bank manager. Which bank? Bank of Indiana?
At the Bank of Indiana. I was at a small community bank called First Farmers Bank and Trust. Nice. Little tiny community bank. But it was a very small bank. So I couldn't get a branch manager's position because somebody had to die for somebody to leave in these little community banks. So I moved to a big bank, Charter One Bank, so I could get my branch manager title. That was horrid. Big banking. This was, 2007, 6,
This is already after you graduated or still in school?
This is after I graduated.
So what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2002.
Mm-hmm. And then from 2002 all the way to what? 2006, 2007, you were with the small bank, the trust?
Oh, geez.
The Farmers, Indiana Farmer. What was it called again?
First Farmers Bank and Trust.
First Farmers Bank and Trust.
I mean, can you tell I'm from Indiana? First Farmers.
Farmers first. They come first. Yeah, it's fine.
There you go.
I accept that.
I got married in 2007, moved to the Chicagoland area. That's where I started in Charter One Bank.
Chicago, Illinois, you say?
Chicago, Illinois. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Did that for a little while, and then I was just tired of banking. It was in that weird time where the banks were like pre-approving you for credit cards and home equity lines of credits, and you were just supposed to like accept it on behalf of customers. And I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, this isn't for me. So my ex-husband and I were moving from the Chicagoland area back home, back to Noblesville.
He was, just to clarify, he was your husband back then, but now he's your ex-husband, right?
He is my ex-husband now.
No, but not then.
He was my husband then. Yes.
Yeah, so it's not like with your ex-husband, you move with the next husband. So no, okay. Just
back then, he was my husband.
Okay.
And we were moving to moving from Chicagoland back home. And one of my girlfriends worked at Liberty Mutual, which is an insurance company. And she's like, hey, why don't you come sell insurance? And I was like, I don't want to be a used car salesman. That's just, that's not me either. So I was kind of in this weird, like, what do I do phase.
What year was that when that popped up, that opportunity to work for Liberty?
That would have been 2010.
So until then, you were still in banking. So you basically were in banking where they had the global financial crisis, where banks were collapsing, but your bank did not collapse, sounds like, but it was probably tough times over there in that industry.
Tough. Absolutely.
So 2010, you started to pivot?
Yeah. And she's like, just go take the interview. I'll get like a $250 bonus if you just go through the interview. And I was like, fine. I could use the practice. It's been a while since I've interviewed. So I interviewed, and the gentleman who interviewed me said that this was a man's industry and that those men would outsell you every day.
That's all I need to hear.
So that's all I needed to hear. I was like, tell me I can't.
Tell me
I can't do this, and I'm going to prove you wrong. So I was like, I'll take the job, and let's see what happens.
Was that deliberate to get you kind of all worked up? Or it was like really ignorant, like, these guys
I
are like...
think it was ignorant. I mean... But I mean, it worked. I was rookie of the year, top rep in the state, third in the entire company.
Wow.
I accepted my award on stage and took like a selfie picture and sent it to him. I was like, who can't sell insurance now? He got fired, within the first year. So whatever.
Not because of you, right? In general,
not because of
it's probably
his own, doing. But so I did that like 3 years.
But hold on. So 3 years, what are you tell us, what is this? I mean, we understand insurance, but give us a bit more context into what kind of insurance and what's the drive? What was so cool for you and that you were able to excel at that?
So we did auto, home, life insurance, standard personal lines insurance. I spent a lot of time learning the ins and outs of coverage. That's what I loved about Liberty. They really trained you on what is homeowners insurance, what are the endorsements, what do customers need, what don't they need, all of that. And that's really what I fell in love with in those 3 years, is making those connections with customers, learning the forms. The forms are like 60 pages long and everyone's like, you read these? I'm like, yeah. Like, I literally would sit in the back with a highlighter and would like read through the forms and highlight them. That wasn't as fun as the actual meeting with clients, going to their homes, walking around saying, okay, hey, here's a risk. Did you see that tree is overhanging on your house? What if the wind knocks that down? You're going to have, issues with your roof. That kind of stuff is really what I fell in love with. And I knew I was in trouble when I would go on vacation and I would say like, oh, look at that tree. That tree is going to fall off over there. Or do you see that fence? That fence has a hole in it and they've got a Rottweiler over there. Then I was like, oh, crap.
Everywhere you go, you're on vacation. Yeah, you see opportunity to sell insurance.
Yeah. It was not just sell the insurance, but actually
help people,
educate people on what some of those risks are.
Nice.
So 3 years into it, insurance companies do what insurance companies do, right? They raise the rates, they raise the rates, they raise the rates. And I was losing clients because I didn't have any other options. It was Liberty Mutual or nothing. And I hated that I built this rapport with these clients and they love me and I love them and I didn't have any other options. So I started looking into going out on my own. The husband at the time wasn't super supportive of me opening my own company. I mean, I had a really great 6-figure job. Things were going well. And to go from that to starting my own company, going commission only, reset, can we make it? I mean, I just had a baby. But I felt like in my gut that I knew that I could do it. Like I was born to be an entrepreneur. I hated taking direction from other people. I love to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And I don't like to ask permission. If I feel like it's right for my client, I want to do it. So we took the leap of faith and left Liberty Mutual and opened my own agency. So now we're 7 years into my own agency.
Well, hold on. When did you open? Which year? When you made that pivot, that switch?
So I'm like, what? This is.
Think of the calculator, like she's calculating
She said she wasn't good at math.
I'm like,
no, hold on. So you said you started
I
Liberty.
should have brought my resume. I didn't realize this was gonna be like
open LinkedIn. No, but so 2010, you started Liberty. You were there for 3 years.
Yeah.
So 2013. So what did you do between 13 to 16?
So then I was started in 2013. So I left Liberty and opened up my own agency.
In 2013?
There you go.
So about 10 years now.
10 years now.
Wow, nice. Happy 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
10th anniversary.
Anniversary. Okay, so take us through those moments. You open, you have a desk and the crickets, or what happened?
So I left Liberty and I started in the house, our marital residence, in this little office in my house. And it was like just boomed. So I left Liberty. My clients were like, hey, I want to come with you. So the first couple of months was crazy. I mean, I was working 60 hours a week by myself, sitting at the computer. And I was like, okay, I can do this. This is going to be great.
Are there no like non-compete orders in place though? Like whenever you leave an agency like that, are you able? I mean, how does that work?
So it was a 3-year non-compete. I couldn't solicit them. So if they came to me and said, hey, I need you to do this, then I could do it. So I just had to keep really good records of like, hey, they came to me. And that I didn't solicit them.
But on the offering side of things, you were able to offer Liberty and other insurance coverages
Not
or
Liberty.
companies? Oh yeah.
I'm still kind of blackballed on that one. But all of the other different carriers. So I had to go to these carriers and sell myself. And in the day, when this first started, they want commitments. They want to know that you're going to sell $250,000 in premium with them. Well, when you're brand new, it's really hard to feed several different companies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, $1 million here, $500,000 here, $250,000 here. So getting those contracts was a little bit slow going from the beginning. So I'd have a couple of carriers, and then you can get a couple more and a couple of more. Now we have 50 some carriers. So
wow,
whatever.
So over the years, you're able to layer it in, right?
Yeah. So when I first started, we were doing the home and auto life insurance, kind of doing that. Now I had access to do commercial, which I fell in love with the commercial side, helping the mom and pops and the business owners and those kinds of things. So we did that for a couple. The first year, super, super crazy, was so happy, was by myself. And about 7 months into it, I realized I needed to hire my first employee, which was scary because now I'm paying somebody else's salary and now I'm in charge of somebody else's life. And I was paying her what I used to pay make myself. So that was super, super scary.
Transitional. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we moved a second desk into my house, and the two of us worked together in my house, which was kind of fun too, because she became one of my best friends. And so we were sitting here back to back, absolutely going crazy, both of us working like dogs. So we did that for about a year, and then things were getting a little bit crazy. We're like, all right, we need to bring in one more. Mm-hmm. And so then I found a little shared office space, and we moved into that. And then there was 3. And then this whole world of Amazon comes into play.
Okay, take us there. The moment e-commerce/Amazon knocks on your door, what happened?
So one of my personal lines clients, so a customer that lived here in Indiana, he came to me and he's like, hey, I sell on Amazon and they're requiring this third-party insurance. And I was like, I didn't even know there was third-party sellers on Amazon. Mm-hmm. I just assumed Amazon sold everything.
On Amazon? Like, but what year was that when that customer hit you up?
So that was right at 6 years ago.
That's 2017-ish?
2017-ish.
Okay.
Yep. And he's like, I need this insurance. And I was like, insurance companies don't like online retailers. They didn't. Like, nobody was insuring these types of things. Nobody liked it because nobody knew anything about them. So I was like, I don't think I can help you. Just go away. And he came back to me. He's like, I'm not going away. Like, you've got to figure this out. You've got my home and my auto and my life insurance. I want you to have this. I need your help. No one will talk to me. Figure it out. And I was like, ugh, it's going to take me forever and I'm not going to make any money and it's going to be totally pointless and worthless. But I finally kind of talked to some of my carriers, and I had a really good marketing rep with the Hartford. And she's like, I think we could try to figure this out. Let's try it. So I quoted it the first time, and it was like a $500 policy. And he was like, all right, I'll take it. Make sure it matches Amazon's requirements. We did it. We sold it. I made $50. I spent months doing it, but I made my client happy. So then he comes back and he's like, Ashlin, I'm in this Facebook group and there's 15,000 of us that sell on Amazon. Can I post your information? So then I was like, 50 times 15,000. Well, shit, maybe this is worth my time.
Scale,
and so I was like, yeah, post it. Let's see what happens. And then it was just phone call after phone call after phone call. Nobody likes me. Nobody will talk to me. I feel like the redheaded stepchild. Please help. And I literally just fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the people.
So who felt like a stepchild? The Amazon sellers?
Yeah, Amazon sellers. Because
they're not able to, they were scrambling to reach out to insurance carriers and figure this out.
Yeah, and
all of a sudden you're like a saving, yeah, you're like a knight on a, what's it called? The white
a knight horse in shining armor.
Yeah. There you go.
So I don't know. And then I got asked to come to my first conference, and then that like sealed the deal. Like, just
remember which conference and where and the year?
It was Jim Cockram's, and it was CES at the time, but now it's Proven. But he was like the first one who gave me my first shot into the community. And just to see how many people come together to help each other grow was unlike any other industry that I had helped. Like, I have restaurants, I have, non-for-profits, I have schools, I have all kinds of other businesses, but none of them really truly try to help each other grow. Like this podcast, like, you guys truly want to help each other succeed. And I fell in love. And just the joy of seeing you guys network and the joy of seeing you guys come together. It was like nothing else I'd ever seen. And I was like, all right, this is my thing. Like, when you wake up in the morning and you just know it feels like home, e-commerce felt like home. Now, I'm not going to say I haven't had many of nights in tears thinking, oh my gosh, Amazon sucks. Why are they doing this? I don't know
why are they doing this to you, or why are they doing this for the sellers?
Well, unless you sell on Amazon. Why they do it to the sellers, and then I have to go fix it and figure out a new solution. So I mean, there's many of nights I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just sometimes is so rough.
Well, let me understand. So once you Amazon came knocking on your door and swept you, they swept you all in, or you still kept the other book of business for the other types of insurance coverage?
So we still keep we still do all of that too. But I would say 85% of my business now at least comes from an e-commerce seller. So we still do the home, auto, life insurance. But majority of that comes from
the sellers who need, they want to expand into regular insurance policies. Interesting.
Yeah. So they have one point of contact for me and my team to do all of, the home, auto, life insurance, their boats, their RVs, their toys. I mean, we do everything.
Private jets. They're making money on Amazon.
Private jets. Yes. That was just our secret. That was just, I wasn't going to tell everybody I did your private jet. Your baller over there.
The big sellers. You really know the big sellers, the ones who are successful.
So how many people do you have on your team now? It can't still just be 3 of you. If so, that's impressive.
We have 15.
Nice.
15. We have a brand new office we opened 2 years ago that right now houses everyone Our second location should be open in like 3.5, 4 weeks. So knock on wood.
But we're
Our
in
second
Indiana
location
also.
in Indiana, literally like right next to each other. So
You're
there's a
taking over the
plaza
town.
here and a plaza here. We're gonna be like catty
Wow.
corner from each other. So walking distance in the summer, we can walk back and forth. So yeah, I mean, it went from one in a little office at home to 2 offices in 15, hopefully 17 by the end of the month. We got a couple pending offers out there. But an office team full of women. My entire staff are women. My
I'm waiting
entire
for that
staff.
moment when a gentleman comes in for an interview. He's like, "You see these women? I bet you can't beat any of them with selling."
That's
policies.
right. I should have like those women will outsell you every day.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom. You create this competitive culture, but hopefully a healthy one. So they really are excelling and performing
No, I
properly.
mean, if you look at my Facebook, you'll see like my team is my family. My girls are treated like family. They really get whatever the heck they want. For example, yesterday I got, can we please get a toaster oven for the kitchen? And I'm like, whatever you want, go order one. I don't care. Like, they wanted a Zen room. They got a Zen room. They wanted a gym. We put in a gym. They wanted a tanning bed. We put in a tanning bed. Like, I am big on work-life home balance. We are there so much. And I hated my bosses growing up. I hated my bosses in the banking industry. I hated my bosses in the food industry. So when I decided to open my own company, I didn't want to be the jerk boss. I want to be firm, but I want to be fair.
Yeah.
And you do your job. I'm gonna treat you like royalty too, because you treat my staff like royalty and you treat my my customers like royalty. Like, you guys are amazing to my customers, so I'm gonna be amazing to you.
The Ashlin Hadden Kingdom. All right, very cool. So now, if I'm an Amazon seller or e-commerce seller, kind of watching this or listening to this, let's dive a little bit into the nitty-gritty of what does this all mean. I mean, what? I need an insurance policy? That moment. Take us to all of that.
Yeah. So 3-ish, 4 years ago, Amazon came out and said, hey, in the terms of service, it's always said that you need an insurance policy. When you signed the 30-some pages of BS, in there it says, I have an insurance policy and I will continue to have insurance policies. But nobody ever reads that, right? Everyone just signs it because they want to get online and start making money. Then Amazon came out and said, hey, we're going to start policing this. We've not policed it before. We're going to start policing this. So if you sell $10,000 in 3 consecutive months, we're going to like ask for your certificate of insurance. So then everyone scrambled, and that's where like shit hit the fan. And we went from, 4 or 5 employees to 10 employees, because there was now hundreds of thousands of people looking to get insurance so they didn't get suspended.
But I still don't get it, even though I do get it. Yoni Mazur gets it. But being the surrogate for the listener or the viewer, what do I need insurance policy for? I'm selling this on Amazon, right? And what's going to happen if am I going to get sued? What actually is the liability here?
Yep. So Amazon at the time was kind of taking responsibility for product liability. So something that you sell hurts somebody, or something that you say hurts somebody. So Amazon said, hey, you need general liability and product liability. General liability is going to be what you do or say as a business. So let's say I post, I make a listing and I say, yeah, you just need to do it. And Nike comes back and says, just do it. It's trademarked and that's mine. And I'm going to sue you. That's general liability.
That's what you say. Yeah. Things you say on the market level that get you exposed to lawsuits. In this case, trademark or slogan mark violations.
Yep. So then let's say I like sell this like lipstick and I say, this lipstick's going to make your lips look voluptuous and sexy. And I buy this and it breaks out my lips and I like end up in the hospital.
Right.
Yep. That's product liability. That's what your product does to harm you. So Amazon said, hey, I'm done taking responsibility for the stuff that you put on this platform. You need to cover what you do or say as a business, and you need to cover what your products do to harm someone else. Now, if you're just RAOA wholesale, are you ever
going just to help out retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, meaning you're kind of reselling products of big brands. You probably find in these websites or regular stores, clearance aisles and stuff like that. Yeah. What about it?
So if you're doing those, you probably will never be have to pay like $1 million claim. because we're going to go back to the manufacturer and say, hey, L'Oreal, you're actually the manufacturer of this. The insurance company is going to go back to them.
And they got pockets to pay out a claim, meaning they're juicier target, so to speak, for the person that got exposed to the issue.
But what you will have to do as an online retailer or just reseller is you're going to have to defend yourself. You're going to have to say, I didn't do anything wrong. And you're going to have to hire an attorney to prove that you didn't do anything wrong. And that's where the big bucks come in. So a couple of examples of just claims that we've seen on the reselling side are upwards of 60 to 70, sometimes $90,000 in legal fees to just get your name dropped from the lawsuit.
Just to get rid of it. Just to say, hey, it's not me, it's L'Oreal, for example.
And a lot of people say, well, I have an LLC, so I'm fine. Cool. Pick up the phone and call your LLC. You can't.
You're there. You can, but you're there. You're on the other line.
Right. You're the only one that can protect yourself. So you would have to hire that attorney at probably $500 an hour to defend yourself. And one of the claims that I love, I mean, I hate it because it's stupid, but I love to explain because this person did nothing wrong, was we had a client who sold something wholesale on Amazon. Amazon fulfilled it by FBA, so USPS shipped it. The guy woke up and tripped over the box, broke his hip and broke his clavicle, and sued Amazon, sued USPS, and sued my client. Well, it was $70,000 in legal fees just to get his name dropped.
Good Lord.
He did nothing. The dude tripped over a box. He's an idiot and didn't look. And it still was $70,000 in fees. So if my client wouldn't have had insurance, he would have had to pay that out of pocket. So yes, I get it. You're not the brand owner.
But how much was the insurance policy for that client? How much did it cost?
$600 for the year.
That $600 covered. That's that $70,000 liability that he would have paid out of pocket if it wasn't for the policy coverage.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So even if you're not the manufacturer, even though you're not the distributor, even like if you are just reselling, you still could be listed in the lawsuit. So yes, it's required by Amazon. Even if you don't get the nasty gram from Amazon, you absolutely should still have a policy.
For sure.
So then 2 years ago, Amazon came back and said, okay, we're going to change it again. That's where I said I'm in tears because I have 10,000 Amazon sellers insured at that point that they've changed the rules on again. So then in a flip of a switch, I've got 30 days to rewrite 10,000 customers.
What was the switch? If you can share with us, what was the pivot?
So Amazon came and said, okay, now we're going to require that you add us as an additional insured. And then they changed their name and their address. So we had to go in and endorse, which means change their policy to include Amazon and a new address. And of course, it's all manual. It's not like you can make a blanket change.
Yeah, you can't upload a spreadsheet for 10,000. Yeah, wow.
And then Amazon said, okay, now we're going to require the certificate of insurance to be uploaded into your Seller Central account. Mm-hmm. So then now we had to go type out new certificates of insurance and then give instructions to everyone on how to upload it. Well, nobody follows instructions, right?
No, nobody reads.
Nobody reads. So we're doing videos like click here, put this, do that. And it's just So it's been an interesting 5 years in the space, but we wouldn't have it any other way. We love it. But so yes, so now Amazon is policing, still required at any amount, but now they're policing it at 10,000 in one consecutive month. So once you hit that 10,000 mark, you're going to get the email from Amazon that says, hey, I need that insurance policy. If you don't get it, they send you a nasty gram saying they're going to suspend you in 30 days. And then after 30 days, we are seeing suspensions. So
hold on, so when you say nasty gram, you mean Amazon notification, right?
Yes. I mean, I've seen some of the emails.
I'm like, where's the nasty gram platform? I can go on and see everything that's going on with Amazon. Okay, just making sure on that. Okay,
that's one of your guys' terms because they're like, I got that nasty gram. And I was like, what are you talking about? So then they're like, let me send you the email.
Wow, nice. Okay, so let me just also clarify this. So it sounds like this is very kind of United States, Amazon US kind of based dynamic, What about overseas? Canada, Mexico, UK, EU? Any elements there to consider for the sellers?
Yeah. So right now, Amazon is just policing the .com platform. Now, of course, if you are selling on any other platform, I highly recommend getting, it's called worldwide coverage. Of course, it's more expensive because you've got higher risks. You're selling, overseas, but you can add worldwide coverage to cover those different countries that you're selling in. I do think in the next couple of years, Amazon will start requiring and policing that. But the US is really the litigious place. We sue for anything. So as long as you're selling on the .com platform, you're going to get caught at some point. But always make sure that, we add that worldwide coverage to your policy if you're selling on any other platform. And I guess kind of that goes along with that is making sure that you're honest with your agent and letting them know what your actual risks are. Our application process, since we've done this, 72 million times, we specifically say, do you sell on other platforms? If so, yes. But if you're not going through an agency like mine that focuses on e-commerce, make sure you're upfront and honest with that agent. Say, hey, I also sell on .ca. I also sell in Mexico. I also sell whatever. Just make sure that you're honest so they can add the coverages to cover you at those other different platforms. If you private label, make sure that you answer that you private label. If you manufacture overseas, if you manufacture in China, if you have, lead or, whatever, just be honest and upfront because you don't want that to be a reason why they decline a claim.
Yeah, you want to make sure you really cover your behind on all fronts. So when you have that agent, you can work with that. That's a huge advantage instead of just going directly to the insurance company, which they don't want to cover your behind. It's kind of a weird dance, right? They want your money to cover your behind, but they don't want to cover your behind in a weird way. So the agents can really balance that to make sure you have full coverage for all your behind risks. But a question is also that came to my mind is that, okay, I'm a private label seller. I work with the factory. It could be even a nice big bona fide factory overseas or even in the United States domestic. And let's say they kind of messed up. What's the idea? How does that work with if you get sued, you can lay it out on them or you need to cover them in your insurance policy? What's the dynamics on factories, especially when established ones?
Yeah, so same kind of thing like resale. You can go back to that manufacturer, and that's called subrogation. That means the insurance company is going to say, hey, my client didn't really screw up. It's you, and we're going to use your insurance policy. Now, if it comes out that that company doesn't have insurance, then unfortunately your policy is going to have to pay for it. If there's nothing to subrogate, that's what you have insurance for. But again, it's going to help you get out of that.
So the message here, I guess, is when you're working with factories, also ask them if they have coverages.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your agent, if you have working with a good agent, they'll tell you, hey, ask your factory.
Get a certificate of insurance.
Yeah. If not, at least the agent can help the factory get the right coverages also. So everybody is in the same position to have the right coverages, especially as you go and scale your business. So you want to have a good sourcing partner. So make sure they're covered. So they don't collapse. Okay, let's say you got sued and all the liability goes to them, but what if they collapse? What happens to your business? Think about that also. So you have shared interest to kind of survive any litigation.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, you were saying.
Oh, kind of along that whole line with making sure that you have coverage. I also like to talk about a different type of coverage for your inventory. So a lot of our clients use 3PLs, warehouses, third-party logistics center. 3 is what 3PL stands for. And they have inventory in these prep centers all over the country. And a lot of our clients are like, hey, my products are covered while it's at that prep center. And I have 130, 130 prep centers covered, and only 2 of them have coverage for other people's inventory. So the big thing that you need to figure out is call your prep center, your 3PL, whoever has your inventory, and say, do you have insurance for my products when they're in your care, custody, and control? And if they say, yes, I do, say, prove it. Send me a certificate of insurance that says that my products are covered. And if they're not, then you can add that to your policy. You can extend coverage to that offsite premise.
So when you do it, just will name that warehouse that you work with, correct?
Yep, you need the address of the warehouse, and we would extend coverage there. We have a lot of
Hold on, but that
clients.
means that if those inventory units and that fulfillment centers get destroyed for fire or whatever it is, boom, you get covered.
Yep.
Because if
So
you
we
don't have
had
that,
one.
you have a total loss. You can have $1 million in 3PL if you don't add it to your coverage or they don't have it, and there's a fire or a force majeure or whatever it's called.
Yep.
Gone. Okay, very
and
important.
if they just up and disappear, we've seen several in the last 5 years that just leave and all your stuff's gone. Wow. So make sure that you've got coverage for your inventory. Even if you have inventory at home, you need to have coverage. A lot of our clients say, well, I have homeowners insurance and it's going to cover, the stuff that's in my basement. Unless you can tell your insurance company that you have 10,000 toothbrushes because you only use the toothbrush one time and then you throw it away, they're going to know you're full of it, and they're going to know it's for a business, and they're not going to cover it. Home is for home and personal use. Business is business, and they don't overlap. Your homeowners is not going to cover your business, and your business isn't going to cover your home. Two separate things. Again, making sure you have an agent that knows what you're doing to make sure that those are covered the right way.
Nice. Okay, beautiful stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Let's go ahead, change gears into the final rounds here. So Lisa, you want to give us kind of a quick recap, see what we got?
Yeah, sure. You've got my wheels turning before we move on. Well, now I'm thinking, you said like 10,000 toothbrushes. I immediately went to like not preppers, not hoarders, but like the extreme couponers.
Yeah.
The people that stockpile. Like, goodness gracious, what a fight that would be. It was like, why do you have 400 bars of soap? And it's like, well, because they were
had a coupon.
They were a quarter. That's why I have them.
Oh, you're the coupon people. Here's your coverage. Here's your
maybe that would be covered. Maybe we could figure that one out.
I was on TV show.
Receipts.
Throw in front of a psychiatrist, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, she's screwed. Payback claim."
But yeah, so Ashlin, we're kind of just gonna recap everything, and then we'll get into the final rounds. So Ashlin Hadden grew up in Kokomo, Indiana, not the fun Kokomo or the exotic one from the show. Dad was a supervisor at GM, so you got to learn a little bit of, management from there. Mom was a stay-at-home mom, and then ended up being kind of a lifelong learner, as we like to say. Started running a fruit stand at 14, but the first official job was at McDonald's while you were still in school. It sounded like you said you're about 15 and a half. Graduated high school, started in the banking industry originally as a bank teller, wanted to go to school for financial crime. So pursuing a criminal justice degree, working in the banking industry at the same time, and got to the computer classes and kind of hated it. Wanted to interact with people much more. Just sitting behind the desk, clickety-clacking was not it. So ended up, we said that you graduated in 2002, but did you graduate with the criminal justice degree? Or
I did.
You did. So you did follow through with it at least, but decided the career path was going to be different from that.
Yep.
So anyway, worked your way to a bank manager at First Farmers Bank and Trust, but wanted to be a branch manager. So in 2007 moved to Chicago to Charter One and was the branch manager there. Got tired of banking, lived there for about 3 years, ended up moving back home from Chicago to Indiana, to Liberty Mutual, where a gentleman kind of threw down the gauntlet and said, nope, you can't do this. And as Yoni said, you said, hold my beer, rookie of the year, top rep in the state, third in the company, with Liberty for about 3 years. And after that, kind of decided to start looking into striking out on your own, said that maybe entrepreneurship was calling to you, didn't want to work for somebody else, and opened Ashlin Hadden in 2016 and grew quite quickly, in my opinion. In 7 months, you already needed somebody else, and you brought them into your home and then had 3 people, and then now you have 15 people. I mean, that's super impressive. Still doing home and auto, but mostly focusing on those Amazon ecom claims. And we just got pretty deep into that. But want to highlight too, it is a woman-owned business, entirely women-led team. So love that. Did we kind of wrap up everything accurately there? We miss anything?
Yeah,
I mean, the jump off point is really impressive that it only just took one client, right? He said, I'm selling on Amazon, figure it out.
I call it the moment that Amazon comes, knocking on your door, just, takes you all in.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, at that time, I guess hindsight.
You don't realize it, but it happens,
right? Now we're like, oh yeah, take that client. What are you talking about? Right. But I can see how at the time it was like, no, this is so much work. Like, this isn't a real thing.
Adam gets a very nice Christmas present every year.
I'm sure he does.
Absolutely.
So Ashlyn, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. We are going to go into the final 2 rounds here. First is going to be where folks can get a hold of you, maybe if they need an insurance claim, if they don't have one yet, or if they just want to learn more about your story. And the second is going to be your message of hope or inspiration for entrepreneurs out there. So let's start with where they can get a hold of you. Where can they learn more?
Yeah. So easiest way to get a hold of us is on our website, ecom.insure. Don't put .com after it, is literally .insure. You can click on get a quote right there and get into the system. There's a couple of options. I private label or I don't private label. Make sure you pick which one you do. Once you do that, that comes into our internal team. We look through your products and see how you're sourcing, where you're sourcing, and then we choose the carrier that's going to best fit you. Again, we've done this now over 7 years in the ecom space. We know what carriers like what products. So then we place you with those carriers. Like I said, we have over 50 carriers currently. So we sometimes pin them against each other. So we know you got a baby product and we've got 3 carriers that are really great in baby products. We'll get a quote from all 3 of them and say, oh, well, this carrier got us at 2,500. We need this at 2,000. And then we take that one to the other one and say, okay, we need this at 1,500. So we're really good at pinning them against each other and getting you the best rate. The application process, I promise, is painless as possible for insurance. A little bit more painful if it's private label like baby and supplements. It's a little bit longer process, but usually 3 to 5 minutes and you're in and done. And then we handle it from there. I do like to tell you that none of my team is allowed to sell online. I felt like from the very beginning that it was a conflict of interest because we have to know what you're selling, where you're sourcing from, sometimes who your manufacturers are.
Intimate details, yeah.
Yeah, we have to know those intimate details. So I'm very big on knowing what you know, but not doing what you do. So none of my team is allowed to sell online. So you know that your information is safe with us. So once we do that, then we send you the quotes back. You get to decide which one you want to go with. If you want to talk to us on the phone, we'd be happy to get on the phone. If you don't want to talk to my team on the phone, we can do everything through email too. So we kind of like to do business the way you want to do business.
And if you want to work in your town, you're going to visit the office in Indiana and also get a nice toasted meal and everything.
I mean, I'll give you some corn and soybeans. That's about all we got here in Indiana.
Strawberries. We talked about strawberries.
And the strawberries. That's true. That's true. So yeah, that's how you work on getting an application into us. Like I said, my team is available all the time. They are some of the best women I've ever met in my entire life. If you have questions, you can always email me. This is my personal email address. You can always reach out to me there.
If you're listening to this, it's Ashlin, ASHLIN, at AshlinHaddenInsurance.com. Just in case you're listening and watching the video, so I want to make sure everybody's able to catch that. Okay, go ahead.
If you're a current client and you need service, it's service at Ashlin Hadden Insurance, or if you need sales, you can do sales at Ashlin Hadden Insurance. This is pretty easy.
Okay, message of hope and inspiration for entrepreneurs listening out there. We're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. Obviously I'm big into women entrepreneurship because I was told that I couldn't do this as a woman. So
you want me to step outside the room? I can actually give a final word.
Get out of here.
I'll just put myself on mute. Let me do that. Go ahead.
Don't give up because someone told you can't do it. Go with your gut. And if you feel like you can do it, then I want you to have the faith to do it. Take the leap of faith, do what you need to do. And don't look back. Don't let any man or woman hold you back.
We love it. Love it. Ashlyn, thank you so much. It's been so great to actually sit down and learn more about you. I see you at these shows. It's always like a hug, a hello, and then we've got to run around somewhere. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I had a great time.
Of course. And thank you everybody who tuned in today. Just stay safe and healthy, and we will see you on the next one.